Hi, everybody. Good to see you again. It's my job to basically get the heck out of the way and let these guys talk about what it is that they do and their company can do, specifically as it relates to AI. So this is a provider showcase. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that we give each of them a minute to be able to talk specifically about what their product does and introduce themselves. So let's go ahead and start out with Mike.
Thank you, J-Lo. So I thought I'd just spend just a minute quickly on describing, some of you may be familiar with GoTo, and if not, I just wanted to touch on briefly. We rebranded in 2022 from a company called LogMeIn. So some very notable products from the LogMeIn stack: GoToMeeting, GoToWebinar, and of course our remote desktop division. So for example, if you've purchased a laptop from, let's say, Best Buy, their day 2 support would typically, do you guys have Geek Squad down here? Yeah. Okay, sorry, I'm from Canada, eh?
Do we?
Geek Squad. So Geek Squad, for example, white labels our rescue product for that remote desktop support. Lenovo, McAfee, virus protection as an example. But really what that rebrand, it was really an effort to make it easier to do business with both our partner community, the folks at TruPoint, for example, as well as you, the customer. So we like to think, and I sometimes like to suggest, that GoTo is sort of your one-stop shop for all of your communications and remote desktop needs. One thing marketing like me to say, we want to become your go-to. It's kind of corny, but whatever, I had to say it. But you know, we're 3 years now out of the pandemic, and we're still seeing a lot of challenges today. We're still seeing a lot of, I would almost call it patchwork of remote workers, hybrid workers, as well as the in-office worker. So our goal ultimately is to help demystify those challenges. We talked about security as a big piece, and of course we've got the AI factor here as well.
Mike?
Yeah.
You didn't expect this.
What's that?
10 words or less. What is your special sauce?
Well,
that's 2 words.
I would say really a differentiator for us, really, honestly, is the fact that we're very vertically focused, first of all, right?
Okay.
We like to think that we have a captive market at times, but we're very vertically focused, very dialed in. And of course, we own the entire stack. So
okay.
What I mean by that is it's our code. When we break it, we fix it.
Thank you, Mike.
Okay.
You're awesome. Okay, next. You know him. You love him. Brandon Knight from Zoom.
We make a software that it allows you and someone who's not in the same room with you to be on. Seriously.
I like it.
Can you see it?
I think you can see them when you, yeah.
So
on.
Internet of Things is pretty important to you because of the camera part, right?
I hear it's going to be pretty popular. Yeah. But outside of that, I mean, we have, like I said, I asked you guys at the beginning, like, who really knew. Everyone knows the meeting products and the event products, but we also make, we have a phone product, a UCaaS product, contact center product, workforce management. AI is written through all of it. We actually have a docs product now, a whiteboard product, a spreadsheet product coming shortly. Like we're pinky in the brain, pretty much.
That's awesome. Thank you, Brandon.
Yeah.
Jason from Broad Voice.
So for those of you who don't know, Broad Voice is we're a cloud-based service provider focused on UCaaS and CCaaS services, really a full CX experience. So we've always been in the kind of in the SMB space, really trickling more to the mid-market per se. We purchased a call center application about I guess about 3 years ago that really enhanced the product set that we offer today. We were, like I said, we were always a UCaaS play. The contact center applications it was right out of the gate more of a mid-market, which started taking us upstream, and we continue to focus on the total customer experience. We leverage a lot of AI resources, some of our own, some of the other providers that are out there, but we're very easy to work with and very easy to integrate with. So that's kind of our
awesome. Hey, so gut check. Who knows or who is confused about the terms UCaaS and CCaaS? And there's like no shame in raising your hand right now. Okay, there's a few people. So UCaaS stands for Unified Communications as a Service. We're talking about cloud-based communications. CCaaS stands for Contact Center as a Service. Good? Everybody
As a
clear?
service standpoint,
Yeah.
sir.
And-
Sorry?
What does as a service mean?
If you have to ask me what as a service means,
I know the answer to the question.
It's a
no,
fair
this
question.
means that it's something that you're getting that's actually hosted remotely, but you are doing it on a regular usage basis. It's not like you're buying some hardware, you're actually buying the service itself and paying for it on a monthly recurring basis. Good?
Thank you,
I
sir.
would say there are also fancy terms, and historically it would have been phone system and contact center.
Yeah.
Layered
Yeah.
in those two services.
That's too fancy for
Yeah.
me.
Well, one of the cool things I will share though is our focus is always to bring the two together, get the front office and the back office talking together. We've layered across a seamless analytics package across both platforms, so you get the same look and feel regardless if you're kind of dealing on the front office or back office piece of it.
Very good. Jason, thank you very much. Okay, I think I see an orange shirt down there. That's got to be Sean.
That's me.
That's you.
That's me.
Sean, please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about Ring.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. Sean, account executive at Ring Central, and I did not know I was going to be up here with a bunch of smart people, engineers, so joke's on me. It's a little awkward going after all these other guys, but Ring Central is a 25-year-old UCaaS provider. There's a volume. And we've been around for a while. We have over 400,000 customers globally with 5 million endpoints. And really kind of our bread and butter is that we are a carrier or a C-leg for people that are in the telecom space. We're the phone company. And that gives us the ability to have a high SLA uptime and a high voice quality SLA. And try not to repeat everything else that everybody else says, but we have a really kick-ass UCaaS product, and we have a proprietary contact center that layers on top of it.
Okay, what would you say your special sauce is?
Ooh. I'd say the innovation of our products.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you so much, Sean. Now let's go to the front row. Hanging out on front row, Mike. Mike White from Dialpad.
Yeah, Mike White from Dialpad. Similar to these guys, we're all-in-one cloud communications provider, right? Everything from your meetings, UCaaS, CCaaS. Our specialty has been that we baked AI in for over 8 years. And what's really different is our founders also created Google Voice, so they left Google to create the business version of that. But we also have some special AI striped across the solution to help specifically with support, sales, and coming soon, recruiting. So if you're in any of those verticals, we'd love to talk to you.
Very good. Mike,
Yes,
you know what I'm going to ask you.
I don't.
What's your special sauce?
Urban.
Having
What
this,
differentiates you?
having the same hairstyle as you.
How many we got? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes.
I think you guys have enough for a meeting.
Yes, but if I had to say one thing, it is Dialpad is by Dialpad, for Dialpad, only by Dialpad. So all of our AI is our own. Our language models are trained only on our data, which happens to consist of support calls and sales calls. So unlike some other AI, we can't tell you how to make chicken parm, but we can tell you how to satisfy your customers really quickly and do all of the things that your organization needs to do on a day-to-day basis to either retain customers or gain new customers.
That's too bad because I really need a good recipe for chicken parm. Anyway, all right. Mike, thank you so much. All right, now we're going to move on to a gentleman that comes from a company that actually is widely considered a CPaaS offering. Does anybody know what CPaaS stands for? Few people. Contact Platform as a Service. It's a little bit different. And so what we have is Pete Neal from Intelop here, and Pete's going to tell us how they're different.
Yeah, thank you very much. For those of you who don't know, I was part of the original sales team that sold Alexander Graham Bell's first POTS line. So I've been doing this for a little bit. But let me get a quick poll. For those of you who absolutely cannot wait until you get to talk to a human agent in a contact center to get something done, please raise your hands. You love talking to agents, okay. For those of you who would rather do it on your own and not have to talk to a human unless truly necessary, raise your hands. Okay. Here's a factoid, and it bounces off of what the gentleman from Zoom was saying. Baby boomers, of which I'm a part of, 87% of them prefer to talk to a human. And if you look at the contact center builds that are out there today, they are agent-centric because they are designed to support that generation and its needs. When you look at the millennials, 70% of them don't want to talk to an agent. When you look at Gen Z, 76% of them don't want to talk to an agent. So if you're in the space of communicating between your enterprise and your customers and prospects, you need to be thinking about changing the modality and how you do business to become customer-centric and not agent-centric. IntelliPeer is a 20-year-old company that's done everything from SIP trunking to CPaaS. We've done Press 1 for parts, Press 2 for sales types of IVRs. We've done IVAs with conventional design voice, and we're doing generative AI where it's appropriate for understanding intent and making it part of a hybrid solution. So where we get different and special is finding out where a customer is and on their automation journey, because it's a journey, and helping them get to the next level. Because we understand it's not buying one thing, it's not making one decision, and then everything's done for you. It's making intelligent decisions that allow you to proceed so that you serve your customers the way they want to be treated. Again, props to him. Because if you're not doing it about your customers, you're going to lose them.
And Pete, I don't need to ask you what your special sauce is. I just don't, because your stuff is so different from everybody else that I think it probably stands on its own. Thank you. So
You're welcome.
Make sure you're talking to Pete a little bit later. We're actually going to ask him a question that's going to help him differentiate a little bit in a minute. But while we can still do so, I'm going to make sure we pass this along to Mr. William Gainey from Five9, who would like to introduce himself and talk a little bit about Five9.
Sure. It sounds like a lot of our companies are the same in a lot of ways. We all have our accolades. We all have our kind of our special sauce. I think when I think of Five9, there's a couple of things that differentiate us. One is our maniacal focus on service. If you think about our Net Promoter Score of plus 87, it basically stands out in any industry, and it's recognized as world-class. So that means after your project is finished, would you recommend Five9? And the answer is yes, right? The other things, we've been in the AI business and been in I would say, a moving force since 2018. We basically run the largest IVA platform and had the most deployments in the industry. What makes us unique is not only do we have AI infused throughout the entire platform like a lot of the others, but we're engine agnostic, right? And we have an open platform. So that means that, as technology evolves in the marketplace, we allow you to evaluate that and utilize that technology. We don't lock you in. So that means that you continually advance your network, you continually drive better efficiencies, better customer experience, and financial savings in perpetuity.
So when you say engine agnostic, you can utilize my 4-cylinder in my Honda and be okay?
We're getting there.
All right, sweet. Okay. Thank you very much. Appreciate that, William. Okay, so in preparation for this panel, and to give you a little bit of an extra feel for what these different providers do, TruPoint and I prepared a on-the-spot question. Dun-dun. For each of these different providers. And so now I'm going to hit them with these questions, and they're going to have a couple of minutes to try and address the answer for you. We're going to mix it up. We're still going to go right to left, but instead of doing the back row first, we're going to do the front row first. So, Mr. Mike White, the spotlight is on you, sir. You ready for your targeted question?
I'm still upset we didn't find out about Gen X earlier. Why do we keep getting left out?
I don't know. We are the sandwich generation after all. All right, Mike, here is your targeted question. So, and you kind of touched on this a little bit during your intro thing, but I think I want to have you expand on it a little bit. There's also a lot of talk out there about, enabling agents, enabling sellers, enabling people that are in the contact center and other areas. Who else in the organization can the Dialpad platform enable? And tell us how that works.
Yeah, so I would say similar to Gen X, we always get left out of the conversation. The frontline leadership frequently gets left out of the conversation. Middle management is where most of the organization reports into. About 80% of the org is going to report to a frontline manager, and about half of those people, it's their first time leading. So how do you provide them with information to help them do their job, which is to improve the roles of all those 80%? Well, analytics, of course, we all have that, right? And you can go find the data, but a lot of times the signal is lost in the noise when you're looking at too much data. What Dialpad does is we like to provide a coaching hub. And this hub will give you not only the quantitative data, but the qualitative data of how sellers and agents are performing, so that frontline manager knows very quickly who to coach, what to coach, when to coach, how to coach. And they don't have to spend, as I read the other day from Balto AI, about 5 hours trying to prepare for a coaching session. The data is readily available for them. And this can be based upon AI scorecards, AI playbooks, AI CSAT, all of the data that's in the platform, but you don't have to go searching for it and pull it out. So that, again, all the AI on the front end helps sellers and agents. But how do you coach them, which again is going to help their retention and their engagement in the organization and keep them around. So it's a full circle improvement within the organization. So if you're also frontline management, sales, anything along those lines, stop by and happy hour and chat with us.
That's actually quite compelling. Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it. All right. Pete, you're on the spot yet again.
Test.
Okay. So there are a lot of companies that claim that they do a lot of AI-based communication automation and different things. I think there's like, last count was like 17,000 companies out there are saying that they're doing things with AI-based communications, okay? So what is it about your, meaning not you personally, but IntelliPeer's AI-based automation services and the way you provide them being important, that makes IntelliPeer stand out as a leader in this very crowded space?
Well, that's an excellent question, and thank you. The way that we look at it, we think that we bring a pretty comprehensive, holistic solution. We have traditionally had a legacy voice network that stands out in the top 8 in the United States all the time. As a network-based or cloud-based service provider, I can control more of that customer interaction than a lot of the vendors in the space who are just providing that automation engine. So I can pick the call up, I can bring it into my network, I can treat it, and I can deflect it, contain it there without it ever having to go down to a hosted or premise kind of platform. If I need to go ahead and get it to a human agent, because human agents are still going to have a large role for some time to come, I have the ability to control the delivery of that traffic and any kind of contextual information that we gather during our interaction and get it to that hosted or premise platform via either API or UUI header via SIP. The other thing it allows me to do is be agnostic. I really don't care who you use on the front end of your hosted CCaaS or your UCaaS platform. I can interface with all of them. And because I'm network-based, I can handle seasonal peaks that you would not design your normal production day topology for. I have customers where I can take 12 to 15,000 calls at a time, utility companies who need that kind of support during outages. So I think I bring a lot of capabilities, inbound treatments, contextual information passing, as well as supporting one-to-one and one-to-many SMS for the outbound capabilities that enterprises need as well.
That's great. All right. Pete, I think, addressed where he's coming from very, very well, so thank you. All right, let's dive into this, William. You know you're next. This is a little difficult to ask because I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit. So for those of you that don't know, Gartner, who's familiar with Gartner? Okay. Oh, anybody not familiar with Gartner? Oh, I envy you. Okay. So Gartner actually has tried to measure how many of the different Gen AI-based projects are actually being implemented effectively within companies. Okay? And they have found out that because of inadequate risk controls, escalating costs, unclear business value, that a lot of companies are abandoning the project after the proof of concept phase. We're talking about 30 to 40% of Gen AI projects are being abandoned at that stage. That's a lot. So now, here's the tough question. How does Five9 capitalize on success where others are failing?
Yeah, I think the number one thing is that you have to focus on not buying a product. You have to have a strategy. So many times people get enamored with products, and those products don't work in their overall strategy, and it is a total misfire. At Five9, we do our due diligence up front. We have a process called Genius AI. It provides a 4-step methodology that harnesses data and analyzes operational gaps, all on the front end. So essentially what we do is, first and foremost, is we listen. Think about that, right? Someone that's actually listening. We capture and enrich engagement data, and that can be data across the board. That could be, chat, calls, web, email, mobile, video, et cetera, right? And we want to understand the customer better because it's really about a custom environment for you, right? Then we're going to analyze it. We have tools like Five9 Analytics and AI Insights to identify opportunities to enhance self-service as well as streamline customer and agent interactions. Third, we're going to tailor. We're going to configure AI models with contextual data. So what does that mean? We're taking in consideration interaction data, customer data, knowledge, enterprise knowledge data, and third-party data that you could bring to the table, even your own LLM, to optimize your business, right? And then fourth and finally, it's apply. We give you the tools to apply results that produce tangible and measurable outcomes and drive personalized experiences. Now, if you think about this, why is this important? Well, it allows for control, it allows for security, and the ability to test and model changes in things like ROI, CSAT, agent experience, customer experience, KPIs, prior to deployment and prior to investment. It's truly genius.
Hey, I see what you did
Brought
there.
it full circle.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. All right. Now we're going to go to the back row. Sean is over there, waiting for his turn. Earlier, you talked about, I asked you what your special sauce was. You said innovation.
Yeah, innovation.
Right? Okay. So let's talk about your new contact center product, RCX.
Okay.
So tell us how it's been doing in the market.
Yep.
And how is AI infused into RCX, and what is the strategy for AI moving forward?
It's a great question. So RCX, we just introduced to the market last December. And it's no shocker that we were selling other contact center software, but our CEO, Vlad, he really wanted to have our own proprietary contact center so we can innovate it just like we did with our UCaaS product, which has led Gartner for the last 9 straight years in the Leaders Quadrant, or been in the Leaders Quadrant. So he really wants to take that vision that he did with the UCaaS 25 years ago and build it into the contact center platform. And he was ahead of the game with AI. AI has been infused in the UCaaS segment, our RingEX product, for before 2020. Don't know the exact date, but he ended up investing in a company and purchasing one, Deep Connect, to build the AI platform, infuse it into the contact center platform, the RCX that we have today, and then also have it into our RingEX. So we have a fantastic AI product called RingSense. It does a lot of cool things that we've probably heard similar to some of our competitors today. But ever since we've released RCX, we have 15,000 seats, and we double our sales every quarter. So it's really taken off in the market, and it's exciting to see the roadmap that we have. So next year at this time, it's going to be completely different, and it's an exciting place to work and watch the product develop.
Wow. 100% growth every quarter is something that I think most companies envy. So
Yeah, it's exciting.
All right, very good. Jason, I love your name, by the way.
It's awesome.
So good. Okay. You talked a little bit earlier about broad voice and the quality of your team, at least as it relates to the service that you provide. Let's talk a little bit about your approach to your customers specifically and partners that are, these people that you're talking to in these CX conversations. Okay? Tell me a little bit about your approach with the technologies that you provide and how it is that they benefit your customers.
Yeah, I mean, really the approach that we have is when we sit down with our clients, we kind of mentioned it a little bit, we're a mixture of both UCaaS and CCaaS, right? So a lot of times it's the full experience that they're looking for, being able to bring everything together. So we'll talk through and look at how we can leverage on different AI technologies all the way through the work stream, whether it's kind of like that pre and before call version where we'll utilize our our IVRs and our IVAs from that perspective, and layer on Agent Assist. It flows directly in, and on the back end, we'll do some things where we're layering on some other AI technologies for whether it's all the bells and whistles that everyone has, whether it's transcription, summarization, sentiment analysis. We've got full call journeys that flow through, but it's really listening to what customers have today, where they want to go, and helping them get there. And like I mentioned before, we've got a lot of our own technology. We work with some of the leaders in the space when it comes to some of the other technologies, but we want to be really easy to work with and even leverage technologies that they might have that they want to take a look at that's germane to their business. So pretty easy to work with. Our support on the back end is extremely strong. Our day 2 support, as well. So we really take pride in that, but it's really about the overall customer experience and deciding what's going to be best for them.
That's actually a fantastic way to do things. I mean, white glove in this new age of AI and technologies, that's very, very important.
Yeah, and I mean, and most people that have worked with Broad Voice before, we do it at it hasn't really been mentioned, we're not talking about pricing, but like a really good price point. We offer a fairly advanced service for the type of company that we grew up as. We typically were in that SMB space, and we kind of like leapfrogged into kind of a mid-market play with that contact center solution because it offered a lot that the SMB contact centers didn't offer. It's an omni-channel type solution, so we're not just dealing with voice. We've got a very powerful outbound dialer with scripting and everything else that's included in there, which you typically wouldn't see in an SMB play when it comes to contact center.
Very cool. All right, thank you so much. I've learned a little bit more about Broad Voice, and I'm supposed to know the platform really good, so thank you. Appreciate that.
Gotcha.
All right, Brandon. Brandon.
What are you going to ask me? What do you want to know?
By the way, did we enjoy Brandon's talk this morning? Yeah.
That's good. Please stop.
You know what I love about Brandon? He doesn't cuss and shit. I mean, he just kind of gets right to it. So one of the things that you mentioned is AI kind of being a flavor. It's kind of sprinkled everywhere. It's I don't want to call it a fad, but I suppose some people see it as a fad. It's definitely a feature that's being incorporated in different platforms in different ways. And you showed a few things about your platform where AI is kind of infused everywhere, but I want to kind of drill down a little bit. Give me a couple, like max 2, of the differences in the AI offering that's going to matter to actual customers and users of the Zoom platform.
2 that's going to matter. I would say actually, you know what? It's going to be 1.5 because I'm going to tie them together.
Okay.
If you have a Zoom meeting license right now, raise your hand. Okay. You already have our AI product. It's really just that simple. And the fact that you don't have to pay for it, I think is because I want to be respectful, but you'll have people showing you ROIs and cost analysis and how much you have to invest in AI in order to get your money back and stuff like that. The fact of the matter is we've proven that you don't have to do any of that investment. If you have one of our licenses already, you can use our AI product at no cost. So I think that's different right now.
All right.
He told you. Yeah. He told you.
Yeah, I feel very chagrined. Can you tell? All right. Thanks, Brandon. Mm-hmm. All right. Mike.
Yes.
Bring us home. So, go to.
Yep.
I want to ask you a question specifically about the AI features that you have in your platform. Okay,
right.
So let's talk about the platform features specifically that are AI-centric.
Right.
And how are they going to transform the overall customer experience when you're utilizing the go-to platform?
Right. So I think it was this gentleman here talked about all the parity in the industry today across different platforms, right? It becomes a little bit of a foot race. So, for example, and I'll admit we're maybe a little bit behind on our virtual agent, which is expected out this fall. But one thing that is intriguing to me is the concept of predictive modeling. So the concept of potentially anticipating an outage, anticipating and providing proactive support. So we have, I get up every day and we position solutions for customers and clients. One of the downsides of my job is post-sales issues. When we develop a product, sometimes we break something. We fix it the same day because we own the stack. So the concept of proactively providing support, potentially receiving a call in predicting an outage. We talked about predicting cyber attacks as an example. So I think moving forward, that is ultimately going to change the landscape, especially in the AI world. There was only a couple of references about LLM today, and I expected to hear a little bit more. But LLM is essentially the foundation that is ultimately going to bring us into a predictive world. So, and again, I always mention this, and I think it was Bill Gates that mentioned it. AI will ultimately get us to a 4-day work week, and I think he's on record as late as this August suggesting a 3-day work week. I don't know what that means yet, but I certainly am embracing. We're very fortunate to be, at this time in this technology. So I'm looking forward to that, actually. Not so much the 4-day work week, because I don't know what I'll do anyway, but I like where it's going. So I don't see it as a threat per se. There is a lot of work to do, but certainly, mitigating risk, mitigating a potential outage, whatever the case may be. And that's where I think the big one's going to be, the big shift for us. Okay. One other note, and I know you're going to cut me off.
I would never.
So I'm up in Canada, which is where the majority of the developer are for our UCaaS product. And I was talking to the head of development, and he had mentioned, I mentioned this earlier, is that this fall will be the first year that college and universities are actually going to produce students that are going to hit the ground running when it comes to AI. So a lot of the challenges that we faced was we have a great roadmap, but we're struggling to get the kids in to develop this technology. So this fall, and I assume it's very similar in the US, is expect an exponential surge in AI development moving forward.
I think that you're right on the money there for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way,
Yeah.
if you want one of my work days during the week, you're welcome to it. I'll take your day off. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, but there's a lot of there's a lot of roles that cannot be remote. Obviously,
Yeah.
There's a lot of roles in the industry that feel left out. Right? I work from home 100% of the time. There's folks that have to go to the office every day, emergency services, whatever the case may be. And I think it really comes down to those folks, right? We talked about the customer experience. Let's not forget, and this came up at our round table, let's not forget the agent experience. Yeah. How do we ensure a better retention rate so that we hire these people, we train them, next thing you know, they're gone for more money, whatever the case may be. Let's do a bit better job and making sure that they have the tool set to be supportive and productive, and hey, 4-day work.
And not use LLMs to write their papers, even if they are the generation that's coming into the world right now comfortable with AI. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I think these providers have all demonstrated the power of their various platforms, especially as it relates to the CX space. I think they've also differentiated themselves a little bit from each other in a few key areas. Let me open it up to you as an audience. Are there any questions that any of you have about any of these providers or artificial intelligence and how it applies to the CX space in general that these gentlemen can answer for you? Go ahead. John.
So I'm kind of curious, a lot of people like Ring is building their own ecosystem. I see that everybody's using a lot of AI. Even in the big boys, you have Google Gemini, ChatGPT, Microsoft Copilot that are up here as standards. At what point do you start allowing your AIs to interact with each other? How do you control interacting? Like, say, I do want to use a product like your product, but I also want to use Ring Central. At what point do you stop proprietarizing your AI and maybe allow gateways between it?
So you're asking if these guys are going to play nice with each other on the playground?
At the end of the day, the goal of AI is to become self-aware, as was said earlier, and for this to progress. And it's clearly defined by the data that each person is feeding it. And while what may be feeding one particular AI for sentiment is great, but while maybe feeding a different AI about something else may be great over here, if I can't have them interact, I think that's a failure.
Yeah, that's fair. Do you guys mind if I address this and then I turn it to you?
Go for it.
For some different comments? What you're talking about is basically competitive differentiation between the providers. And so until we've reached the point where the products are a little bit more commoditized, at least as far as the AI feature is there, I don't think you're going to see that. Now, That doesn't mean that there's not a future state where things might be open sourced a little bit as it relates to those features, because we have open source training sets right now. I mean, they're pretty fantastic, okay? Who was it that published their open source training set? Llama did, along with their 3.1 model. So people that want to go out and get these open source training sets and do things along those lines, they can do so. As it relates to AI specific features with the platforms, you're just not going to see it for a little bit until things are a little bit more uniform. Now let me turn it out to you guys. I think you raised your hand first.
I want to go back to something that I said when I was talking before. Think of AI less as a product and more of how we enhance our products and how it works in the back end. So if you take that approach right now, even though Zoom has an all-encompassing platform that has, phone and meetings and webinar and the contact center all in it, I also don't mind if somebody wants to use Teams. I don't mind if somebody wants to use Cisco. I don't mind if someone wants to use our phone system with like Five9's contact center, vice versa. That those components play well together.
Yep.
How the AI that I use to run my side versus the AI they use to run their side would be a matter of API and integrations and a lot of rules that Jason's talking about still has yet to be figured out. But the products will work together fine.
Yeah, and I think for most of us today, all of us, I think we work with our competitors or our frenemies today and integrating with different platforms. I mean, I integrate with some Zoom customers and some Dialpad, some Five9. I mean, we have that today, but AI specific, I see where you're going. I think it's got some time
Pete,
before
you
it
were going
gets
to
there.
chime in, right?
The customer really has a role and a responsibility in helping that. I'm working a project right now with a shared customer with Five9s, where if I try and do containment in the network, and for some reason the customer's decided business rule means that I need to transfer that call down to their agent, which is supported by Five9s, what we've done is agreed on a methodology for me passing contextual data about all of the interactions that customer had while he was with me. I'm going to pass that to Five9s so that they're not making that caller start from square one. So there are a lot of things where you can achieve synergies today. It's just a matter of you as the customer saying, here's what I want to achieve. In Telepeer, I want you to do X. When you're done with X, I want you to pass that information to Five9s or Dialpad or whomever. So you control a lot of that capability already.
I think Pete, Sean, kind of basically in different ways are saying kind of the same thing, and Brandon was too. The key is going to be integration between the platforms. The features, the ways that they figure out to utilize artificial intelligence that are unique, that's the piece they're going to keep to themselves, okay? But these are all interested in integrating with each other if it's necessary and it's required. That's the first thing. The second thing is, you got to look at your data set that you're training the artificial intelligence on, okay? So it's more about structuring your data right. Can we combine everything that we need to in a way that can be combined and sourced by various artificial intelligence drawing platforms? And so for a lot of places, I think that's probably the first hurdle that they need to get to, and that is, structuring and collecting their data and pooling it.
Yeah. And I had one more thing real quick, not just for you, but for everyone as a consumer. When you're looking at various technologies and stuff, remember what I said in the beginning of going back to what you want your operational excellence to be? Once you figure out what your operational excellence looks like, do not worry about how the technology works together. Yep. You're going to make yourself nuts. That's what you have the people at TruPoint and Telarus for. You, as a customer, you can say, this is the experience I want my employee to have, this is the experience I want my customer to have, and then let the rest of us figure out how the technology does that for you.
You brings a really good point. Because of the advent of AI, okay, now I'm going to generalize here a little bit. Because of the advent of AI and because of the ability of our companies to figure out new and innovative ways to address problems, coupled with the fact that you have custom AI, ML, DL instances that are trained to do with specific use cases, the sales process is a little different. The buying process is a little different. It used to be, we had a problem and we went out to try and find the closest fitting solution that might be able to handle the problem. Then we buy the solution, and then afterwards we take a look at it and see if it fixed the problem, and if not, we figure out a workaround, right? Now things are a little bit different. We're identifying the problem, we're identifying the end state solution that we're after, And platforms are so powerful now, coupled with all of these different artificial intelligence technologies, that we can actually then either create or find and supplement with a creation the platform that's going to fully solve the problem on the far end. The process is a little bit different. All right, let's go with one more question.
I was just interested in the stat that you mentioned from Gartner. Did they say why?
Let me check my notes. Yes. So you're talking about the fact that things that are in proof of concept fail? Okay, so the report that I drew that from, it spoke specifically about poor quality, so not implemented in the right way. Okay. I don't have my reading glasses on, and I'm old. Remember, I'm old, so I'm doing the best I can here. Inadequate risk controls. And so there are companies that once they put things in place, even though they've put it in place and they've got a proof of concept going, they suddenly are scared. Okay, we talked earlier about Ultron and Skynet and Singularity, Agent Smith. It's going to be so cool one day when we get Agent Smith on this planet. Okay, but this is the big obstacle in incorporating artificial intelligence in your company that you face internally. There were statistics that were cited earlier. More than half of the United States is scared to death of AI. Still to this day, even with the fact that everybody's using AI every day when they do speech to text on their phone, more than half in the United States is more scared about the damage that AI is going to do versus the benefit it's going to provide. Now, those very same people are working in the companies today trying to figure out how to incorporate AI in their company.
And their favorite
Do you think
movies
they're
are-
any less scared because they're doing it from a business perspective versus a personal perspective? Oh, yeah, exactly. Okay, so this is part of the obstacle. It's education, it's familiarity, it's finding the right use case, and it's also kind of overcoming, are we putting ourselves at a greater risk? And the last one that was cited was escalating costs and unclear business value. I hate to say it, but that's on the burden of the providers, don't you think? The provider should be able to walk in during the sales process and define specifically, how is this going to benefit you? How is my solution going to save you money? What is the ROI going to be? And when can you expect that benefit to pay off? So that's kind of why things are failing. Fair?
They didn't get the facts. That's probably what happened.
Bingo.
Selling product.
Yeah. That's a good point.
One of the biggest issues is making sure we can get to the data. That's the key.
Yeah.
If we can get to the data, we can pretty much do everything. If not, it goes back to the lipstick on the pig, right?
Yeah.
Well, and the lipstick on the pig also is a good way of demonstrating that, you know what, these AI features, they're only as good as the data behind it.
That's right.
Okay, if you can get to the data, that's one thing, but if the data is garbage, garbage in, garbage out.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line.
Yeah, I don't know about that report, but Forrester has one that that says 38% of the people stop as well, and their number one reason was insufficient understanding on the customer's part of what it was going to take to get to where they wanted to from where they were.
Yeah.
And ladies and gentlemen, this is why it's so important for you to be working with TruPoint. Okay, they're going to be the person that's going to help you figure out and quantify what that effort is going to take so that you're dealing with reality. And TruPoint's going to be able to bring in the providers that are going to be the right fit for your particular use case. Just saying. I've been saying that. Wait, should I do it the right way? Just saying.
Just
Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we've got about 2 minutes of your time left. Is there anyone that has a super quick question that you'd want answered?
Right.
My question is around, you talked about the use of bots and how good the voice agents are, the voice bots are now. Do you think that's the development of that is going to have a significant impact on your solutions? Does the architecture of these platforms change if the bots become so great that we can have fewer humans in the loop?
Well, that's going to take that's the danger from two perspectives, right? One, do we know if we're talking to a human being? Okay, so are we going to have bot-driven spam, different things like that? These platforms need to be able to identify whether it's a human being or not. But also, we're talking about things like, Brandon, in your presentation earlier, you were talking about like voice biometrics and authentication and stuff like that. The bots are good enough now that they can imitate somebody and fake it and authentication procedures can tell the difference. So MFA is going to become more and more important, I think. Does anybody have anything you want to add?
Well,
Yes, John.
Can I ask one question just real quick? Just show of hands, and this is quick. How many of you think your product and service, as it stands today, will be 25% different or more 12 months from now?
It sort of comes back to the comment I made, John, about the fact that I think from a development perspective, we are going to see the biggest surge in development over the next 12 months versus looking back. There's a lot of factors, but I think what you're going to see from pretty much everybody up here, you're going to see a dramatic change in the next 6 to 12 months, 18 months of new development. Things that we weren't even thinking about. I keep coming back. When we started talking, let me know. We're out.
Yeah, okay. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. Let's have a round of applause for our providers.